Story of a dynamic talent. Steve Fox profiles Bette Midler.
Explosive star. On stage, abrasive, outrageous. Off stage, shy and private. Steve Fox with the contradicting personalities of Bette Midler. When 2020...
Bette Midler is back. She hasn't been performing much for the past 4 years, but her recent nationwide tour has changed all that. She's an explosive performer, compelling to many, abrasive to others. But who is she really? Well, it's a fascinating story, and here is Steve Fox. Steve.
Hugh, Bette Midler is one of those people who seems always to be enveloped in a swirl of emotions. Perhaps bittersweet is the best way to describe Bette. She is an acquired taste.
Look at my eyes, they never see what matters. And look at my dreams, so beaten and so battered. I don't know much, but I know I love you. That may be all I need to know.
Bette Midler can get to the heart of a ballad.
So many questions.
She can express love in a song. On that, both her critics and fans agree. Everything else is a matter of taste. This, for example, is Dolores Del Lago, a beached mermaid singing a Glenn Miller song. Bette calls this trash with flash. It's a spoof of show business at its worst by a woman who's at her best when playing with bad taste. But it's these extravagant antics and her off-color humor that have kept some people away from Bette's show, even her own father. Has he ever seen you perform?
Never.
Never come to a concert?
Never seen me work.
Does that bother you?
Thank God. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, I think it'd kill him. He just dropped dead right there.
Braziers, they're on the second floor of Sears. Braziers.
The thing about Bette is you either love her irreverence or you hate her abrasiveness.
Speaking of Braziers, here comes one now.
But that brassy facade protects a deep-rooted insecurity, which her on-stage characters conceal. As Bette once said, I'm good at shows, but not so good at real life.
My over-emotionalism is my destiny. It's true. It's true.
I don't know. I think I'm expecting a storm, and,
I make people laugh, and I make them cry, and I bare my soul. And that's what I do. And that's what they pay the money, the big bucks for.
The big bucks have come mainly from Bette's sellout stage shows. She's best as a live performer, although she has 3 gold albums, 2 Grammy Awards, and a hit movie to her credit.
Then the preacher, oh, yeah.
But even though she bears her soul on stage, Bette by nature is private, reluctant to permit an intimate inspection.
If there's any objections to this wedding, speak now, or forever, forever hold your peace. And I stood up and screamed, it should have been me. Should have been me. It should have been me, baby. It should have been me. It should have been me. I jumped out of my seat and screamed, it should have been me. It should have been me. It should have been me. Yeah, yeah. It's now in my mind. 'Cause people believe me. The man was mine. It should have been me.
Bette's history has all the overdramatic elements of a successful Hollywood screenplay, and her rise to stardom is, like all good scripts, linked to a man who knows her intimately, her former lover and manager, Aaron Russo.
Bette on the stage totally dominates. I've never seen anybody control an audience the way she does. Off the stage, Bette should be a librarian. You know, she's just this little girl, you know, this meek little girl.
That little girl was born 37 years ago in a lower-class neighborhood outside Honolulu, a tough part of town where she and her family struggled to feel at home.
Bette grew up as a Jewish girl in Hawaii, where she was ostracized and she was segregated against to a great degree. She wasn't a beautiful girl growing up, and I think she's always had the desire to break away from that.
Bette did leave, but took along her mother's enchantment with movies and music, including the sound of the 1941 Andrews Sisters hit Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, which she still incorporates in her act today.
Yeah, I remember that.
My mother thought I was just marvelous. If I had been a stripper, it would have been fine with her. She loved the fact that I was out there making a name for myself, that I was independent. My father thought it was great that I was independent, too. But he thought that I should have been in a more respectable field than show business. That I should have been, you know, I should have been something just a little more conventional, like a teacher and I would have been a wonderful teacher. Or a nurse. I would have been a lousy nurse.
But Bette always knew she'd be a performer, and soon after her arrival in New York City in 1970, she landed a role in Fiddler on the Roof. But it was at the Continental Baths, a gay nightclub where her musical director was the then unknown Barry Manilow, that Bette blossomed into the flamboyant character she calls the Divine Miss M, and began attracting a devoted cult following.
There was a certain kind of flamboyance that they really did like, and that was a kind of a hyper-emotionalism that I was very much into at the time anyway. Oh. Out of that, I learned not to be afraid to tell the truth, to speak my mind, to talk about what was going on in the world, to talk about what was going on the street.
Oh, the sexual revolution is dead. Wow, rest in peace. Oh, I was terribly, terribly depressed. I mean, what can we do now that we can't anymore? I mean, what is there to do? Well, there's video. There's cable TV, and there's computers. Aren't you thrilled? The video, I don't understand at all. It confuses me utterly. I don't know a VCR from an IUD.
Bette's directness on stage could always draw a crowd, but the strategy of advancing her career was the job of Aaron Russo, who in 1972 learned just how ambitious Bette was.
I said to her, sort of what I'm saying to you, I said, you know, Bette, if you have 2 hours left to live in your life, and you're on your deathbed, what is it you want to have achieved in your life so that you have no regrets? What is it you want to have achieved? And she thought for about 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and said, I want to be a legend. And when she said that to me, it made everything very clear. You know, I knew exactly what my job was.
Hey, around the world I search for you.
Russo's job was to take a little-known cult figure and make her attractive to a broader audience. He began by imposing discipline on her instinct for excess, toning down and taming her act so it would be outrageous, but not threatening.
Hey, what difference does it make? No more will I go all around the world trying to find my world in Y-O-U, hey.
But the problem that I was encountering was, how do I get this very unique, seemingly strange individual to appeal to the masses, which was really the goal.
Oh, you got to have friends.
Russo's strategy was simple in concept and brilliant in execution. By booking her into small theaters to ensure a heavy demand for tickets and manipulating the media into reporting the sellout crowds, Russo created a superstar image for Bette that was larger than life.
All this energy going towards Bette Midler, the cover of Newsweek, everything. So we created this giant media star, and the rest was going to be filled in, and we did that, you know, to a great degree through the Rose.
The Rose was a 1980 movie featuring Bette as a rock superstar in the title role, for which she won an Academy Award nomination. Russo selected and crafted the script of The Rose to showcase Bette's talents and to reflect certain elements of her own life, including their relationship. On film, the role of the Rose's manager was played by Alan Bates.
Oh, Aaron loved me much more than Alan Bates seemed to love the Rose. Although I do believe he did. I believe he loved her. But Aaron really loved me. He really loved me.
I'm in business with her. I talk to her any way I like because Miss Me, give me mine over here. She treats me any way she likes, so you butt out.
But in the film, as in real life, the interaction between star and manager was both passionate and stormy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. My mistake. I just thought we had an appointment to make some money.
I guess we flipped primarily because, you know, here I was sort of dominating her career in one way. And in another way, in our personal life, I was very insecure with it. And we became often combatants, you know. But
some people, Aaron, as you know, like to fight. It's not...
Was that? You just hit a nerve. Bette Midler loves to fight.
Right,
I mean, Bette Midler loves a good fight.
You're fired.
The Rose represents both the best of their career partnership and the worst of their personal life. The film was released in 1979, and audiences watched the parable of their private turmoil being played out to a public finale. Shortly afterward, Bette and Aaron split up for real. And it seems, for good.
She's not a woman who wants to be dominated. She wants to control.
Did he control your career? Control it?
Yeah.
Everything about it?
I had my say. I made, yeah. Well, wait a minute. No, wait, what am I saying? Let me think about this for a second. This is important. If I insult him anymore, he's going to send the guys after me. I've trashed that poor man so much.
Aaron is now happily married with a young son and a successful career as a movie producer, but his emotional attachment to Bette remains intense. I know it was very difficult for you to agree to do this interview with us, that you really went back and forth on whether you're going to talk to us or not.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you finally decide to do it?
So I could say hello to Bette.
Honestly?
Hello, Bette. Yep, that's why. It was all for that.
You know, I believe that, too.
That's the reason why.
I'll never be a beast of burden. I walk for miles, my feet hurt. All I want is a little bit of love from you to me. Oh, baby, what's the matter with me? Ain't I hot enough?
With Russo gone, Bette began managing her own career, initially with disappointing results. No new album in 4 years, no tours, and one very unsuccessful movie called Jinxed, over which she had much creative control. Jinx was released in the fall of 1982 and failed almost instantly, though not before driving Bette to a nervous breakdown, caused in large part by a bitter storm of recriminations from those she worked with.
It was like a vendetta. They went out to make some racket about it and to get even with me for what they thought I had done to their male egos.
They being the director, the star, who?
I don't want to call names. Whoever was wearing pants.
You know, a couple of years ago, I had just the tiniest little nervous breakdown. In fact, I was beached like the proverbial whale on the rocky shores of failure. Who do you suppose it was that came along and flipped me back into the seas of success? Was it my lawyer? No. Was it my agent? No. Was it Dapper O'Neill?
Well, the answer is her fans, who thronged to see her recent tour, a financial, critical, and personal success, her first since she's been on her own.
You can stand on your hind feet and say...
The work that I did since I went through that bad period is the best work that I've ever done, and I'm very, very proud of myself. I'm not saying that I'll be proud of myself next year. Maybe I'll have to take another slide, but I'm living. I'm on a road, and I'm going, and I think it's great. I'm proud.
The question of whether or not Bette will someday achieve her stated goal and become a legend is still open and amounts to a work in progress. And it's likely that this woman will always be possessed of a certain divine madness. But it seems that the acceptance of her devoted fans has finally brought Bette a sense of security and, she claims, the beginnings of peace of mind.
It wasn't success. I think it was just, it's something that I figured out from inside. I kept getting asked back. They kept asking me back. And so I figured I must be all right if they keep asking me back.
I don't know much, but if you say